A while ago I published a set of abstractions called Satori generators that was based around one primary object, which was this small sequencer. So if I come over here and add a small sequencer, you can see that this is a user interface element that allows you to type in some values or set them programmatically and then bang them out later. So it's like a visual, it's like a user interface to just like a way of arbitrarily, or a way of sequencing arbitrary bits of data. And I don't need this anymore because now, the reason I didn't really do this with the call object is because you can't see the contents, you can't see the data, you have to move into a new window to see the data that's inside. And now there's a new way of accessing call called coll.codebox. Okay, so coll.codebox allows us to put data inside of this and you can see it. So to get started, I have a virtual instrument that I've added here, and I want to collect some like chords that I'm playing. So for that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this technique where I can use that same MIDI, and let's use unpack. And this will give me the pitch and velocity from this MIDI parse object. I'm only interested in the note off message or the note on messages, so I'm going to use a strip note to strip off the note off messages, and this will leave me with just the pitch. Now the problem with this is it's just going to show me the last pitch that I played, and what I want is, like, when I play a chord, I want to see that chord. So for this I use quick thresh, and I'm going to hang a message box out of this so that you can see. This is now, every time I press a chord, I get this. And this is what I'm going to store inside of this call box. It's call box, I like that. Oops. Okay, so I need to serialize this, so I'll use a counter to do that. We're going to stand at 0. So every time I receive a chord, I'm going to do two things. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pass the chord down. The second thing I'm going to do is increment this counter. So there's the bang that increments the counter, and then I'm going to put these together with a list dot join. This allows me to take two lists of arbitrary size and wed them together. And then sometime I'm going to need to zero this out, so I'll add a 0 here to reset the counter to whatever the next clock is, and this should be sufficient for me to put some chords into the call box. Oops, sorry about that. This looks like my counter isn't incrementing. So let's find out what's going on. Bang, and then counter. Oh, maybe it's because I have this argument here. Let's try that again. Okay, so I've entered in some data here. I don't even know how many steps I have. Oh wow, it's 63. And I can replay this, or I can play this data out of the call box by, just say, hey, give me the index at index 0. So let's make a counter. One thing I'd like to know is, actually I don't even need this. I can just have a bang, and one nice thing about call is I can send the message next to it. So if I make a next message, it's just going to cycle through whatever the next message is in the index. So, like so. That means that I can just get like a metro, and I'll say 8th notes at quantize 8n at active. Maybe I don't need that attribute. We'll just have this on at our discretion. All right, so now every eighth note, it's going to give me a new chord in sequence. Now, if I want to hear this, we have to send it back to our virtual instrument. So let's use an iter to break up this list into its individual components. And then we're not going to use a make note here. We're not going to use a make note because what I want to do is I want to hold each chord because I don't know how long I'm going to hold these chords. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to generate the note on messages. So once this chord gets broken up out of the iter, what we're going to do is join it with a velocity. So I'll say pack pitch and just a velocity of like 64. All right, so that's going to go in there, and that should be sufficient for, oops, let's make a MIDI format. And then got to remember to take the right outlet here back to our virtual instrument. Okay, so this might work. Oh, so we're getting lots of stuck notes. So once a note comes in, we want to do several things. We want to store the list that's coming in so that we can send note off messages to it later. So this is before this will be easier to manipulate as lists, so this is going to be before the iter. All right, so let's use a trigger object. I know I'm going to need to do three things, so I'm going to initialize this with 3 elements. I'm not sure this is going to be correct, but if the first thing I want to do is send out the previous note on messages as note off messages, so that's going to bang a list.reg, which will take the bang outlet. Then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to replace the contents of that with whatever the new list is, and then we're going to generate those note on messages. So here's the note on messages, we already have that, and here's the list of the previous chord or whatever was playing. This is going to go into a different pack message, which is going to join it with velocities of 0 for our note off messages. So let's see if that works. Why is it giving me the same thing over and over? Let's first of all look at what's coming out. Okay, that's good. And here's my note off messages. Here are my note on messages. That doesn't make any sense. What happens if I get rid of these? Yeah, still not doing the right. Oh, okay, so the reason is this is a bang, not a list. So I told you I wasn't going to get it right. All right, so now the list is going to go L for list, B for bang. So the bang is going to get bang out the list is going to go in there. Let's try it again. Perfect. So I don't like the mechanical nature of this. And one of my purposes of doing this video is to show you how the list-based sequencing can be more than just MIDI note messages. So now I want to create a call of a set of viable durations or durations before we go to the next chord. So I'm going to make a new coll.codebox. And I'm just going to type in directly the values that I want here. So let's say I want eighth notes, sure. I want quarter notes, maybe eighth note dotted, 16th note, maybe 32nd note, 32nd note. Let's do quarter note dotted and eighth note dotted. I have eighth note dotted, I don't have quarter note dotted. Let's do quarter note. So 5, 4, and D. Now, correct syntax here would close every line with a semicolon. I typically just put those in last because it's easy to enter the semicolon and then hit the down arrow. So I'm going to, every time I get a metro, I'm going to generate a random number. between 0 and 5. So random, woo, random 5 with a base value of 0. Yeah, that should, there's 6 values there though. So I say random 6. Let's monitor this just by using a number box. So every time this metro bangs, we're going to get a symbol that is this note value. So let's route symbol to strip that off. And we should be left with the relative note value. And by the way, I have the global transport on, so that's one thing I didn't do before. Like, it was already running for me. I just noticed that. So if you're like following along and why isn't this running? It's because global transport was not running. Okay. So now I'm going to set the interval and quantized value of my metro with this, with a message. Interval $1, comma, quantize $1. So this is creating two messages separated by the comma that represent the setting the interval and quantize because we want them to be the same thing. And now instead of that regular series of notes, we should be able to get like different durations that are random. So let's do another one where I take this entire system and just like overdub over it. So I have my MIDI input still going into this call, and I'm just going to hijack that by making a new coll.codebox. Let's put this over here so we can see it at least a little bit. Now, instead of going to that coll box, I'm going to go into here, and I'm just going to play this and kind of play along, and hopefully the data I'm generating makes sense. Sorry, the camera went off. Okay, that should be enough data. So I'm gonna delete this patch cable. Now I have this code box, and I want to come through here as well. So, wow, that's crazy noise. Come through here as well. I'm not really sure what that means, but we're gonna use this metro and do that. Actually, you know what? I wonder what would happen if we send the same message to both of them. We might get some interesting, like, additional notes. Yeah, I can do this. Let's just... Oh, you know what? That's not going to work. We have to duplicate this. That's interesting, but I think what I want to do is I want to have another one of these as well. I realize this is kind of going off the screen a little bit. So that's easy. I'm just going to make a duplicate of this. And I'm going to use the same metro to fire it, though. I can't do that. thing I'm not crazy about is the fact that the velocities are all the same velocity. So we can have another sequence that is just going to give me some alternate velocities. And because the rhythm's changing so much, it's not like we can imply a feel by doing some velocities, but I don't think I need to have a complete call to do this. I can just have I can have a set of random numbers. So I'm gonna generate, let's zoom in so you can probably see this a little bit better. Random 4. This is going to be give me 4 numbers between 0 and 3. And I'm going to take the output of this. I'm going to scale from 0 to 3 from, I don't know, like 33 to like 90. I'm not really sure how velocity sensitive this patch I'm using, but at least this will give me some variation. So I don't need a call for this. I'm just using a scale. So every time this generates a note over here, this metro, I can also generate a velocity. Now, when I'm playing this, I can set that with this pack that I've already set up. I'm going to do this also for the chords that we have going on. Turn this down. Okay, so this is a quick example of using coll.codebox in line to generate data for sequences that can be used algorithmically in your piece.